Hey everybody, let me know if you can hear me because in the past that has been the number one thing is the mic has gone down. So as we prepare to actually launch this and get into everything, I want to make sure because on my end it looks like I actually have audio, but because I had to reset the entire computer since we went on vacation, I have no idea if any of this stuff works. It took me about 2.5 hours to get the studio set back up. All right, sweet. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of people today. Welcome everybody. I am Paul. If you don't know me, I am. Let's see, Daisy. I am. What am I? I handle all kinds of different things here at Karis Penco, Karis Customs, marketing and content creation, both digital and physical. I wear a whole bunch of hats here. So I just want to introduce myself. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. I see some people in the comments that I think I've never seen before, at least in the chat. So that's great news. I'm always happy to see some new people and get to talk to some new people. And hopefully you guys will continue to join us as we make this continue to go through and do the live streams every month. I'm actually thinking about, before we get into everything, all the nitty gritty of my list here. I'm actually gonna probably test out or sometime in the next couple of weeks, test out a different platform of streaming versus Streamlabs, which is what I currently use. A lot of people are switching over to something called StreamYard, which is a completely online hosted streaming service. So, all right. So thank you everybody for saying hi. Hello. I'm happy to see everybody. I got a decent, my list is pretty long and I don't want to get wordy and linger like that I do, and there's stuff to show off. So we'll just kind of jump right into things. And in the process of reconnecting the entirety of my system here, before we went on vacation, I had tested like this checkoff list thing that would like scroll through on the side of the screen, and that option is no longer available and I can't seem to get it to work. So I'm going to have to use the old notebook here and then we're going to go through and we'll go through my list and we'll go ahead and start with the quarterly subscription box idea. So if you, as many of you did, paid attention to the newsletters that we sent out during the Christmas in July event, we did a giveaway, and I'm going to go through the winners on that. If people are super chomping at the bit about that, we'll get to that in a little bit. But if you were there for that and you read through all that stuff, we kind of talked about like a bigger bundle or a subscription box or something like that. We continue to get asked to do something like that. It's one of the most frequent things that we get now that we have titanium pins in like any of the feedback that we get or the surveys and stuff like that. So it's difficult to do because there's always an issue with subscription boxes in the traditional sense of subscription type things. And I've talked about this before, either on a video or a live stream or one of the Q&As or something. It's just kind of difficult to do, to track all that stuff and then execute it the right way and not have people that, hey, I didn't get mine and stuff like that. But we got so many people asking about it that I went ahead and threw something together that's kind of like a subscription box. So the giveaways would be in the vein of what we would do if we had that type of like a quarterly box type bundle that has a bunch of different items in it, that kind of rotates through and has random stuff in it and has like one type of thing in it that's themed. So I'm not going to show you guys what it is because I kind of want the winners to show that off. And what they're getting is not necessarily going to be the actual one we launch when and if we launch it. But I think I kind of have it nailed down the way that I could do it. And it's not going to be the traditional subscription type thing where you like buy the whole year or you elect to buy just 1 month or something like that. There'll be like a period of time that we'll list it for sale where it will be basically like a reduced pre-purchase period. And then outside of that window, if there's more, we'll have a limited amount of them. And if we have more of them available that we've made, because the whole idea for me is to pre-make them as much as possible so that all we do is just, when people buy them, slap labels on them and send them out. So then there would be like if we have more outside of that initial launch window, then the price would increase whatever amount, dependent on how much how much value was in the box, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm still kind of nailing down the particulars, but we'll go ahead and might as well go ahead and read off the winners. Yeah, kind of like an optional subscription. It's not really like optional. It's just like, hey, if you want to buy it like in the purchase window, like this is the pre-purchase window where you get it at a reduced rate. And if everybody snatches them up, then there won't be any outside of that. And then they'll ship immediately after. I don't know, depending on what's going in it, they'll ship like really close after that. So yeah, and it's gonna rotate through. You're gonna have to wait until people start showing them off. So I'm gonna go ahead really quick and read the winners because I went ahead and pulled the winners. So let me pull up the sheet that I did the winners. So I'll do the purchase winners first. I have no idea if any of these people are in the chat. I actually only recognize one of the names because I'm just picking the last name of the person and then the order number for those that made purchases. And so I only recognize one of these names just because this person has corresponded with me outside of this event. So it was all random generated. So here we go. The first winner for website purchases is order number 79529, last name Cruz. And then second winner, 79553 Perini. The third winner, 79576 Van Dyke. Fourth winner, 79521 Radford. And fifth winner, 79561 Duncan. So those are all the winners. And so basically what's going to happen is on Monday, I will pull up all those orders and ship out those boxes to those corresponding those people that won, and then they'll get, if they're not here, they'll get it and not even know that they got it. So and then through the Google sign up sheet, the winner for that one was Hendricks with last name Hendricks with an X. So again, I wanted to be able to announce the winners, but I don't like giving a lot of information out on people. I know people are real, as you should be, real, careful about who you are and the stuff that you put out on the internet, and I don't want to be putting out a ton of information on you. So I just figured the last name that was attached to the order and the last name that I got from the Google sign up sheet would be the best way to do it. But after those people get theirs, probably at the end of next week, in one of the emails that we send out, I'll show, some of the stuff that went into the box. That being said, here is the link to the Google form if you want to sign up for that, for the giveaway for this live stream. That way there's going to be a sixth one, or well, technically a seventh one, that's from all of the people that are in the chat that sign up for this. So you guys all have a chance to sign up on the live stream and potentially win here if you didn't win via one of the winners that I've already listed off. So there's all that stuff. Excuse me, I need to get a drink. I don't know what's going on. Okay. For some reason, I was really, really parched. So quickly, if you're watching this and you can't comment, you need to be logged in to YouTube in order to be able to comment on the live stream. I had a bunch of people ask that question because they were like, I watched you, but I wasn't able to comment. So that's, if you want to comment, you want to ask questions, you want to be involved in the chat, you really need to be logged into Google or YouTube and connect via that login. So hopefully everybody here understands that and you're all good with that. Moving right along. So I don't even know, I'm not really paying attention to what's going on. So next up on the schedule, on my schedule of things to cover, I wanted to do a pen show update. So our pen show season is basically going to kick off here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be at G, and I believe Tommy are going to be at the Washington, D.C. Fountain Pen Super Show. I think that's what they call it. So they will be there for sure. We got everything nailed down. We've got the tables, we've got the flights, got all of the stuff. Ish and I have worked really, really hard on some Vertex lids for some special release Vertexes. And there's going to be there's going to be one pen show exclusive for, excuse me. There's going to be one pen show exclusive for the DC pen show. So there's going to be a pen that Zoe worked on the material. She made these specifically for this show. We did a lid specifically for the show. They're going to be limited in number, and they're going to be available at the show on those days, and until they sell out. G will also have multiple different, I don't want to say one-offs because they're not really one-offs. Early on when Zoe was making the material, she would do like, the molds that we had were like 4 pens per mold block. And so she would make 4 of one color and then 4 of another color. And some of the small batches that we released were those, but we had some that she didn't finish right away when we were selling all the small batch stuff. And so we've kind of held on to those. And those will actually be available. Some of those will actually be available at the Washington show as well. I'm really sorry. I don't know. I've had like a tickle in the back of my throat. Just can't seem to get rid of it. So that will be available at the show. There will also be the DC Pen Show. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Sorry. One more drink. Okay. Hopefully that gets it. There will also be, or August will also be, the official launch of Constellation Series 2 Vertexes. So if you were around for the Constellation release the first time, Zoe basically made like, we call them galaxy pens here. They're shiny and multiple different colors swirled together. Looked, there we go again. Looked really, really cool. Were a huge hit. Basically sold out of all of them. I think there's a few, if you're a part of the pen club, there's one or two left of like two of the releases on the Pen Show spreadsheet. So the plan was always to do multiple different series of these releases, and so August is going to launch the Constellation Series 2. So Constellation Series 1 had 6 constellations that we basically kind of crafted the idea of these pens alluding to different things, different celestial bodies in those particular constellations that we chose. Ish did some really cool artwork for really cool artwork for those, for each different release. They were serial numbered on the bottom of the boxes. And so we're going to relaunch that with the second series. And it's going to come and kind of, this is the breakdown of, yeah, I think it actually did. And this is going to be the breakdown of how it goes. So we're going to have one series that's going to be available at the DC Pen Show. So one of the releases at the DC Pen Show, one at the San Francisco Pen Show at the end of the month. There'll be a third release, a Constellation release, that will be limited to the Pen Club members, and then the other 3 releases will go direct to the website. And each release, there are 15 pens that are serial numbered that are in for each different celestial body, basically, that we've chosen. So Ish and I have used star charts to like track them. So that we kind of like, there's a theme to them, and we put a decent amount of, besides Zoe making them, which is relatively time consuming, we put a lot of time and effort into the packaging and the artwork and everything like that. So that's going to be one of the big things, is that each pen show in August will have one of those releases that will be specifically for that pen show. And then, as I said, the Pen Club will have access to one, and then the other 3, because there's six releases of 15 pens per series, the other 3 releases will go direct to the website. Hopefully that makes sense. And there'll be probably some other random things. Like, we've been kind of squirreling away different stuff throughout the year so that we'd have kind of one-off items, or some of the small stuff that we weren't able to release because the batches were just too small, that G can take with her, or her and I can take with together when we go to San Francisco, because I'll be at San Francisco at the end of August. So that'll be kind of how we've done that. And as I said, each pen show, so we're going to go to DC. G's going to be at DC at the beginning of the month. Her and I will be in San Francisco. Her and I will be at San Francisco at the end of the month. And then we did officially hear back from Ed at the Colorado Pen Show, and he said it is a go. And so while there is no sign up way to purchase yet on the website, we will be going to the Colorado Pen Show as well in October. And so Zoe's coming up with specific Pen Club exclusives for each of those shows. And so we'll have limited exclusive content for those. So I don't know. So to answer the question, will it be possible to buy the Pen Show exclusives any other way if there are any left over? So probably. What we've done in the past is we've taken them to the following shows and offered them at the following shows. So like we have one or two from DC, then we'd take them at the end of the month to San Francisco. I would imagine it would either be that or they'll be offered to via like a lottery form to Pen Club members. Probably that's the only way I think that we would end up doing any of that selling off anything that doesn't sell at the pen shows, any of the exclusives that don't sell at the pen shows would be that way. So don't hold me to it. When she comes back from DC, her and I are gonna get together and go through everything that she brings back, and we'll come up with a plan at that point in time and figure out what to do then with any of the leftover product. Okay, so pen show update. I went over exclusives. Like I said, there's probably going to be some small batches too at the shows. Probably like a small batch that will carry through all three shows. So one slightly larger run of pens that will be available initially at DC, and then at San Francisco, and then in Colorado. And then whatever's left over, that one will probably just be sold on the website if we have any after the Colorado show. But that one specifically is just going to be kind of carried through all the shows. So let's see. Production updates. If anybody's wondering about production, I'm sorry. It's like 82 degrees in here. Even though I have the air conditioning on, it has not cooled down. I only have one of my lights on for that isn't an LED, so I'm just kind of like, I'm really, really hot right now, so I apologize. Okay, so production updates. If you were kind of wondering about production, hey, I haven't been able to buy this pen and I really wanted to buy one or what have you. The inks, we've been out of stock on some of the colors of the inks for a while, and we have inks coming off the machines right now. So we're going to be working on getting back in stock in the colors on those. Fountain Ks and Render Ks, so the K series products, I think we're going to be done shortly with those, and then we'll send a huge push out to the anodizers to get all those back in stock. If you are a fan of either of those pens, then you know that we've been out of stock on those for like, hell, it's probably been like 18 months or more. So we're probably, I know we've gotten a ton of people that have been like, hey, when are you going to get this back in stock? So we're really excited to bring those back in stock finally, and we're going to try to have the full gamut of colors, because we're in the works with getting another anodizer back on board, that we can get decent anodize and expand to our full color spectrum. I'll get to your questions here in a minute. I just want to kind of get through this production update, and then we'll go through from there. I know that we have talked about metal vertexes, and Bill and I circled back on that. That is definitely a go. So while that's not going to be done anytime soon, it is going to be one of the next few things that we get to on the pens that we machine the metal pens out of. So if you've been wondering about, hey, will I ever be able to get a Vertex in aluminum or brass or copper or any other metal? Yes, with a caveat of initially that pen is only going to be offered in aluminum. There's a couple of reasons for it. Doesn't have a clip, and so it could be detrimental to your pocket and the pen if that pen were made out of brass or copper. Just the weight of it alone might not be, while it's doable, completely doable that we could machine those, it just becomes a little bit difficult in terms of like the effectiveness of carrying and actually using the pen. So if we test it and we feel like, hey, you know what, it's going to work, we'll figure out a way to do it where, you know, you can pocket carry this easily, it's not going to fall out or what have you, then we might do brass and copper. But for the first production run, it's going to be limited to aluminum. We are still working on titanium stuff. The problem that we're having with titanium, so that's kind of to wrap up the production schedule. There's some other stuff that's on the schedule that's kind of like up in the air just because we don't have any machines down right now, but like we've just got we have a lot of job shop work, and so keeping them running is kind of moving people around, and it's a little bit more frenetic around here than it normally is. So we're kind of shuffling the production schedule and looking at things. So in terms of titanium, the issue with any of the metal. So I think I've talked about this before, but I might as well talk about it now again because it seems to get brought up frequently. So the question is like, are we going to have more titanium pens? Multiple different people ask about specific pens. So I'm just going to talk about titanium in general and metal in general. All of our machines that make our pens now require the material to be ground to a specific width. It has to be within like the tolerance is really, really small, the entire length of the bar. And these bars are like, what are they, 12 or 15 feet long? That has to be ground by somebody that has a grinding shop that specializes in grinding raw bar stock. The shop that we used in the past when we first got these machines closed down, and the pricing that the only other shop in town we were getting from them was just exorbitant. Like for aluminum, it was just out of the it would have tripled or quadrupled the cost of a piece of aluminum because they were asking so much money to grind our material. We attempted to buy grinders and get them to work here in the shop, and it didn't work out in production. It was not something that we could feasibly do in the confines of our area. We would need special equipment and a lot more space because you need to be able to support the bar in front and on both sides. So you really need like 40 feet of open space that you can allot just to the grinders, and we just don't have that right now. So so that's why until recently we've not been able really to get a lot of stuff ground. We have found a new grinder here locally whose prices are within the scope that we're willing to invest in it, that makes it feasible for us to do. And so we're reaching out with them in hopes that they can take over the grinding of our material. So we had a pause on basically all the titanium stuff. We did the bolts and the EDKs, and then basically we had to pause it because any of the titanium that we purchased would have to be ground, and we didn't have a grinder to do it. So now that we found one, we're hoping that we can get good pricing at this new one. They're willing to do our work, which is another issue. Is like, are you willing to do our work? Do you have time to do our work? So once we get the green light on all that stuff, we hope to be able to bring that back, and then we would basically pick up with whatever is at the time is in production and make that pen out of titanium. So that's kind of where we're at on that one. So the question from Alex, how about a tumbled raw decograph? We've only released the tumbled raw aluminum decographs as we did them as a bundle product one time, and a special release for the holidays, stuff like that. More just because that wasn't the vision for that pen when we initially made it, so it kind of doesn't fit the aesthetic of what we were going for with that pen. But we'll definitely bring it back and have tumbled aluminum decographs here probably in the next couple of months. We usually do 3 small releases of about 40 or 50 pens every single year of tumbled aluminum decographs. So I'm the one that basically plans out those releases, and things have been so up in the air that that one's just not one that I've recircled back around. I'll put it on my list, and we can see where we go with that. So that's kind of like the end of everything that I have on my list. So I'm going to go ahead and now open it up to the official. Here's your official time frame to do like questions and answers, where if you have a question, post it in the chat. I'm going to read it off, and then I'll answer it. So if you've been thinking, or you asked a question earlier on and I didn't answer it, now's the time to ask it again, and re-answer it. To the gentleman that said mentioned Buffalo Trace Allen. I do have that back there. That's not what I'm drinking. I'm drinking Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel today, if anybody cares. Questions? Any questions? I'm going to read through my notes real quick. I actually need to read through on the side too, because I had some notes that I didn't write down for myself. I had it in a spreadsheet, and no, we're good. I covered everything. Okay, so Andrew, do you have plans to design your own click mechanism, similar like the tactile turn side click? Kind of. I don't want to say no. Like we're looking at different ways to create pencils, retractable pencils, and it's not necessarily a mechanism per se, but we're just looking at different options in terms of doing something like that. So I don't want to say no, and I like we haven't even prototyped it. We have an idea on a pen that's not going to use any type of standard type of mechanism that you would see realistically. We're just kind of like working through the stages of development on it and really trying to get to see if the functionality of it works. So it's not the same as actually creating our own mechanism. There's a lot of mechanisms on the market right now. The side click is one of them that's been around for forever. Like side click pens are not really new. I don't even necessarily know if they're new in the machined metal world. I know that Will at Tactile Turn definitely went out on a limb when he did the side click, because there weren't any real popular side click pens. And I'm not privy to any of his, internal numbers or anything, but I don't know how popular that pen is. But if you look on Kickstarter right now, I think there's one pen and one pencil that are a relatively like unique style of mechanism in terms of what they're doing, captured like twisting mechanisms, active cam actuations and stuff like that. So we're looking at something similar to that, but it's more just the design of the entire pen is going to be a little bit different. So that's what we're looking there. Carol, any plans to make a mechanical pencil? We do have mechanical pencils on our website right now. We make the retractable in a standard width, which matches most of our pens, and then in a slim variation as well. We have multiple different colors. We're actually going to have, in the future, we're going to have a huge release of special limited edition colors, and hopefully get brass and copper ones as well. So that's kind of on the horizon, shortishly, if that's even a word. So we do have them. Chris, I love the bundle of bolts. Hope to see more in the future. That's not a question. We will eventually get bundles of everything up. It's just time. Like, I need the time to sit there and write the whole pages and pull all the products in and create all that stuff. It's just time consuming, and so I just need to have the time to do it. JB, any plans to make a twist activated pen? Yes. We do. We have for a while. It's definitely part of what we want to do. Dan. So, okay. So, if I could get the insert made in a 0.9, I would buy them today. But Schmidt doesn't make that insert in a 0.9. And due to the way that we've manufactured the mechanical pencils that we make right now, it needs to be that mechanism. So unless they're willing to go ahead and expand to a 0.9, because they make a 0.9 in the plastic ones, but those are threaded differently than the metal ones, and we don't want to use, having tested the plastic inserts in our previous iteration of the retractable, they're just not reliable. They're not reliable for long-term use. And so it really needs to be in that metal version. And I don't know why Schmidt doesn't make a metal version that uses the 0.9. I don't know. Like, if Benjamin from Schmidt ever comes back to Arizona and sees us, like, he came here one time to see a bunch of their vendors, I'll sit down and talk to him about potentially doing something. I know they've done stuff for us in the past because they changed their standard click mechanism to stainless steel when we asked them if they could do that. So I know they're willing to work with us. They just have not been, that one has not been something they've been willing to do as of now. Any word on faceted ink release? Chris Jeffrey asked for any word on faceted ink release dates. So I'm hoping that Zoe can get some faceted inks in brass and copper done in between, shortly after the San Francisco show or during the week of the San Francisco show. So, she can take a pause on the Vertex stuff to work on stuff like that. But I don't know for sure. A lot of it depends on what else she's needed to do, and they're time consuming. They take, she can only do so many a day, and it takes up a lot of her time. So definitely going to be something that I talk to her about. A ton of people ask about it, so I would like to have some of the brass and copper ones. Since we don't have titanium inks, they're not going to be titanium at this time. Scooter. Oh, so wait. Dano Top. Has bronze been considered material for an EDK? No, but only because we expanded the EDK during the last production run and added titanium. I think we'll probably do one in the future at some point in time. It's like probably a limited edition run. The bronze has not been nearly as popular as we expected it to be. So, which is one of the reasons why we have not added more of the bolts back, done more of the bolts. It just wasn't very popular. So it's kind of like when you're deciding what to manufacture, you kind of have to like pick the stuff that's gonna sell the best. And the bronze just really didn't sell very well, unfortunately. Scooter Trash asks, "What's your favorite pen that Karat?" My favorite pen that Karat has put out is the Vertex, and probably because it's basically my design. It's the most comfortable pen. Although I will say the titanium ink is definitely, or the titanium bolt is definitely right there with it. Those two pens, the Vertex and the titanium bolt, are basically the two pens that I use all the time, outside of some of my other fountain pens that are not Karat manufactured. Waldo, have you guys ever considered making lead holders? Yes. And based off of the research that we did, and this is a long time ago, it was just not, it didn't make sense economically to invest the time and effort to manufacture because we have a finite amount of manufacturing resources. We really have to prioritize the stuff that we know is popular, that we know is going to sell, and based off of people that were asking for that product and feedback that we got, and looking and talking with people that made some already, and the sales numbers for other manufacturers of them just weren't there. It's like anytime that we get asked questions about a niche product inside of a niche, like that's a niche product inside of a niche industry inside of a niche industry. It's like people that use like lead holders are predominantly, what we've been told, are like, artists, people that do sketching, stuff like that. Very few people that write with them. There I don't want to say there aren't any, but it's relatively rare. So it's like you really got like machined mechanical pencils are a niche product inside of the niche product of machined writing instruments as a whole. So the time, like you get down further and further and further, your potential audience is so small, and it was not something that we could invest the R&D time and money in to pursue when we did the research on it. And that might change. There was a point in time where we said we'd never make products out of titanium, and that's obviously not true. So it can change. It's just, we just have to figure that out, figure out if there's an audience. Slim versions of the Bolt V2, that's probably never going to happen, for a variety of reasons. One of them being the fact that the bolt knob itself has to be a certain width, and so slimming that pen down enough that you would notice it would require us to make a different bolt knob. So maybe we would do like some type of tapering on a grip section for the bolt in the future, but I can't. That's probably something that we would do like a very small run of like 100 just to test it out. That would be the closest we'd ever get to that. Okay, Brian Marsh, 6mm leads. I can't find, Schmidt doesn't make an insert that would fit our pens that uses 6mm lead, so it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, Carol, they're on the site, like the main drop down over in the customs line. If you hover over customs line or click on customs line on a tablet, then all the way at the, I think they're all the way at the bottom of the next menu that has our products. It says mechanical pencils or retractable. That's our mechanical pencils. You can find all of them that we currently have in there. Questions. Michael Morris asks, is there any chance of future 0.5 mechanical pencil with a barrel diameter greater than what is currently available, say the same diameter as a Vertex? Wow. Not in the short term. The expansion of the current mechanical pencils is only going to be to add brass and copper, not to add another style of pencil. In order for us to add another pencil that isn't what we currently manufacture, penciled would have to become far, far, far more popular for us to invest the time to do that. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Andrew, so Andrew asked about O-rings. I haven't so in between the last live stream and this live stream, I actually haven't added the O-rings to the site to purchase. You're Not Blind. Again, I just have a finite amount of time. It's on my list of things to do, but with everything else that I all the different hats that I wear, that's just one that I haven't had the chance to put it on the website. But yeah. Sean Murphy, faceted copper inks is still coming. Yes, so the copper and brass faceted that we're still planning on releasing those. That is the next faceted titanium EDKs and the faceted brass and copper inks are the next two. Any other questions? We're coming to about just over 45 minutes, and I am like a sweaty mess. So I don't want to say like I'm itching to get out of here, but like I'm actually not. Like it's finally starting to cool down in here, but I want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, I get to them during the live stream, and I don't have anything else on my list. So all right, Brian. So I'm going to ask, have you asked this question before? Yes or no? Have you asked the black clip and screws question before? I'm going to wait until you hear me. I know there's like a 15-second delay. I apologize. But I'm waiting for you to like respond in the chat if you've asked this question before. Are you going to respond? Okay, well, I can talk while you type the response. The issue with, so we used to sell, if you've been around long enough, we used to sell clips and screws on the website. So we used to sell clips and screws on the website a long time ago. And the reason that we no longer sell clips and screws on the website is after we looked back at the purchases of the people of those purchases of clips and screws, over 50% of the people that purchase clips and screws within 2 weeks of purchasing clips and screws, they had emailed us asking why the screw, the top screw or the bottom screw, just keeps spinning in my pen. And so we discontinued the clips and screws option because so many people were stripping the screws on their pen, or stripping the threads on their pen. Now this issue mainly lands mainly lands on the aluminum pins, and that's because you're putting a stainless steel screw into an aluminum pin. And if for whatever reason, it's a tiny hole, if for whatever reason you don't have a decent Allen wrench or a decent screwdriver with an Allen head, you don't line it up right, you start going to town on it, you're going to take those, you're basically going to you're not going to rethread, because you're basically going to take the threads on the stainless screw and you're going to just drill a hole over the threads in the aluminum. Happens far less often on the brass and the it happens some on the copper, far less on the brass. You're not going to get it to happen on the titanium. You'll break the screw. I've actually done it before. You'll break the screw before you'll damage the titanium. So that's why we haven't sold them before, or we've stopped selling them. The idea was, I had the idea to have a program where you could purchase a virtual product on the site that basically issued you a USPS shipping label and the purchase of a bolt screw, two black bolt screws and a black bolt clip or whatever. You would send the bolt and us. We'd attach the new clip and screws and then send it back to you. But the logistics of that with our website and actually getting it to work when we test it with some people just kind of like didn't go anywhere, and it was very problematic. And so I'm tempted to start to sell them again. Like, a lot of people ask for them. I know that we could sell them. Like, you'd obviously buy some. People would buy them. The problem is that it just might cause a lot of work. Like, we get about 5 to 10 repairs a week, not just on screws, but just in general. Like, there's enough of our pins out there now that people drop them and deform the tip, and so we have to rebore them out, or they've broken a nib or whatever. Like, we get a decent amount of a decent amount of repair requests every single week, that it's part of our process. It's why we offer that in our, we have a form that you can fill out and send the pin to us, and we'll repair it for basically just the cost of shipping it to us. We'll ship it back to you at our own cost. We don't even make you pay for return shipping. And we rarely ask for payment for any of the modifications that make. Most of the time, if it's a repair, we'll just repair the pen, unless there's some major things that need to be replaced that we can identify as like user caused damage. We'll just end up replacing the parts. So, that's kind of where we're at with that one. Like, it's kind of got to the point where a lot of people have asked for it, and we probably are going to offer it again at some point. It's just the logistics of doing it on the website and inventorying all that product. Like, right now, we don't inventory screws. We inventory clips. We don't inventory screws just because we buy them so often. We don't keep track. But if we're actively selling them in addition to using them, we'll have to inventory them for the website at least. So there's a little bit of like time that'll have to go into actually doing all that stuff. But you've asked a gazillion times, and tons of other people have asked. I mean, you haven't asked a gazillion times, but like a ton of people have asked a ton of times, and you've asked multiple times. So it's something that people want. You just have to be really careful. So it's possible that we're just going to have to send out like a little like note with it that basically says, hey, you're doing this at your own risk. You understand that this could be, this could damage your pen if you're not careful. If you don't have the correct tools, here are the tools. Here is a tool that you can purchase on Amazon or Ace Hardware or Lowe's or whatever that we suggest using, that gives enough, enough grip so that you can, screw it in correctly, like kind of walk through the steps of doing it, so it removes some of the possibility of damaging the pins when installing it. But you know, I don't know. So Bobby, JB, are you going to bring back Build-A-Bolt or at least open a bolt part store? So this is a really funny question, and I'm just going to be super like transparent about why the Build-A-Bolt went away. The Build-A-Bolt went away because the Build-A-Bolt bins, because there are so few of certain colors and whatever on hand, I was really careful about the inventory of each individual color and each individual item on the knobs and the clips and whatever was there. Got really problematic because walk-ins were buying those pieces, like walk-in orders or friends of the shop, or people were using them to put together pens to sell, and then no one was updating the quantities. And so the last couple orders of for people that ordered a Build-A-Bolt, we had to scramble around and find stuff because the parts had been taken out of the bins and given away or sold to somebody else that walked in. And anytime that happens, it's really frustrating to me because I am in charge of inventory. And anytime we have to contact somebody and be like, hey, sorry, we can't send you this. Is there anything else that you would want? Or do you just want us to refund the money? You know, I don't like having to do that. So that was why we removed the Build-A-Bolt option. I would like to get it back. It was super popular. We sold a lot of Build-A-Bolts. It's time consuming. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Like having built a bunch of them in the first like week, like I helped ship those out. There's a lot of work that's involved because normally all the pens are built by an assembly technician, and that's their whole job. They just sit there and build pens. So when you have to like build them, you're like the shipper and you're building it. It's kind of a pain in the ass when you get right down to it. But it's super popular. People loved it, and I'd like to bring it back. I just don't know how that's going to happen. Bobby, is there any chance of more pens without the clip and screws? Clips hit my hand, and no matter how I start holding them. Yeah, we were actually asked that by somebody else recently. It wasn't you. I would have remembered if it was you. So I actually that question has been asked I think 3 times in this past week alone, which is really bizarre. We don't normally get that question asked very frequently. I have tried to find a way to get or make something that that can cover that up. I'm actually going to potentially sit down with Bill about it and see if we can potentially make like a little Delrin inserts that can just be popped into the holes for people that don't want to clip. And then basically you would just push the Delrin inserts into the holes and they'd be nearly flush, but because they're Delrin, they wouldn't catch or anything like that. So I don't know. We don't really have any plans to. In fact, like besides the Vertex, all of our other clipless pens have been huge bombs. People haven't bought them. So that's why we stopped selling them, to be quite honest. Pen with a knurled grip section. Both Brians. You guys, Brian Tate and Brian Marsh like to ask the questions that that I get asked a lot, and I just I never want to answer again. I'm just kidding, guys. No, we don't have any plans for a knurled grip section due to the fact that when we tested the knurled grip sections in the past, unanimously, 20, okay, not unanimously, a majority, like a major majority, 24 out of the 25 testers complained about the knurling on the grip section. Now, that was a long time ago. We've gotten better with our machining. We've changed some things, but I just don't know if that's ever, without copying somebody else's knurl profile, somebody that uses it on their grip sections, it's very specific. I'm not going to name them. You can figure it out. And then all that's going to happen is everybody's going to sit there and be like, you copied X company with this. You're just stealing from them. Happens all the time. You have no idea how many emails we have to respond to. It'd be like, why did you make this way? This is an exact copy of X. The faceted pens. Somebody else is already making that. It's not like it's a new thing. Like, people have faceted pens in random ways for a long time. Regardless, people think that we're stealing. So I just don't know that we'll ever do a knurled grip section. It's why we've expanded to other grip section options, like the frag profile, like the rings, like the flutes, dragon skin, all that stuff. However, again, it's something that people ask for all the time. I just wonder if everybody that buys them, if we actually make one, would then in like a month be like, I really don't like this. Can I send it back? It hurts my fingers. I don't know. I feel like that might be the case, but also maybe it's just me and I'm just projecting. I know that when I tested the ones that we made, I did not like it. It was super, super uncomfortable. So no, Brian, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding around. It's just funny that both of you ask questions that I just get a lot. So it's not, you didn't trigger me. I'm overreacting. It's kind of a joke. That's why I was laughing at the time. Any more fountain pens with fluted grips yes. So Alex asks, any more fountain pens with fluted grips or any other limited edition grips? Yes. So I talked about that before. I do have multiple different grip options. I have ringed and flutes in I think brass and copper for the ink. And again, they're on my list of things to add to the site just as an item to purchase, like an add-on item. You can just buy them by themselves. And if we make, the next time we make like the grips for the fountain cave, we'll probably add some of that to those as well. So yes, that is definitely something that we're going to do in the future. 100%. I totally down with doing that. We know a lot of people that like them, so that's definitely going to be an option. Andrew, a frag grip on the titanium. Not in the short term. Like, again, that we may do that in the future when we machine titanium again, but right now we're really trying to just source somebody that can grind the titanium so we can just make titanium pens, let alone add a grip profile to one. So I'm sorry, JB, you asked just about the bolts. So if we have the parts available, you can contact us, somebody that you've worked with in the past via like the contact form, or if you've corresponded with me, or if you've corresponded with G, and just ask, hey, do you have any of this? And then list out what you want to buy separately. Like, we frequently sell stuff via PayPal invoice for like parts and pieces. You're just going to have to be patient. Sometimes it takes us a while to get to those types of requests, but you can buy that stuff as long as we have it. Just shoot us an email with specifics on what you're looking at buying. All right. It has been a blast. It's been hella fun. I think the air conditioning shut off again. So once again, it's starting to get super hot in here. I don't know what the deal is. I really appreciate you appreciate everybody showing up. Please if you haven't filled out the live stream link, I'm going to go ahead and send it one last time in the chat. So if you haven't entered to win the other not a subscription box, that's what I'm going to call it if we end up doing. It's not a subscription box. If you haven't entered the Google form to a chance to win that, go ahead and do that now, please. I will draw the winners this week when I'm doing the rest of the shipping on the other ones, so we can send that out to you guys. Oh, wow. Actually, we're going to extend just a little bit because I don't even know like how I forgot this, but I have a few things to actually show you besides my dumb face. So real quickly, let me show you some of the vertex options that Zoe is working on. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to expand my screen actually. All right, here we go. So interrupt. It's a different link. It's the same form. At Google, whenever you send the link again, it changes the link for whatever stupid reason. It's dumb. Google Forms are stupid that way. I apologize. All right, so these are some of the vertex options. So these are all in-house made material. All of these have been made by Zoe. If you're looking at this, you're seeing kind of from left to right the different color spectrums. I'm gonna leave it like this for a second before I start rotating stuff around because getting my hands in there usually changes the focus and everything like that. So these are kind of some of the pins that we're working on. So I don't know specifically. I know some specifics on when some of these will be released. See, and this is why. So I'm just going to rotate the bodies around here. So this is kind of like a green, light green, white. This is actually pink. I don't know why hopefully it shows up like pink. This is kind of a turquoise mixed with a purple and red. This is what I wanted her to try to just do green and black together with some mica in it. Oh, shoot. This is like almost a matte finish on this one. It's like a matte. It's like black and brown and green in a swirl. So, and these last three are basically Zoe created like blank. She just layered material, like it was excess material from other ones that she'd made. So she layered them. So like they're like literally halfway through. Some is swirled and some is flat. Because then they basically cut these to size and then machine them. I'm sorry for moving these all around, guys. It's kind of like this one literally is. This half is one pin that she was one pin that she was working on. This half is another one that she was working on. And she literally just layered them into like a rectangular blank. And this is actually this half in its raw form, which is kind of similar to this one, but it's a little bit more crazy. Okay, enough of that. It's making me seasick. So these two, I have plans. These two were planned to go to the Colorado Pen Show. These two are either gonna make an appearance either at Washington or at DC or at San Francisco, depending on when we can get these done. These are like one-offs right here, kind of. So these you might see these being sold on Instagram, probably. Anyway, so I totally forgot these. They've been sitting here this entire time. So there we go. All right, back to me. Hey, everybody. Sorry, you can't see the wonderful pins. You're back with my ugly mug. Okay. I don't know how, like literally they're sitting right there. I have no idea. Here's how. I didn't write them on my list. All right, so again, let me start my wrap up. Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. I know that it's your time that you're investing in coming on here. As you leave, if you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know everybody asks that in every video that you ever watch on YouTube. It's important to me. It's important to the company that we kind of see the amount of people that we're reaching. And then you get notified whenever we do stuff like this. If you haven't paid attention to the newsletters or anything else like that, you'll get a notification if you turn your notifications on. So I would really like it if you would subscribe to us. That would be great. Otherwise, I appreciate you for being here. You know, we do this so that you guys have some cool stuff to write with. Can't say much more about it. Until next time, I'm Paul. Thank you for spending an hour and 15 minutes of your time with me. If you're one of the lucky winners, hey, awesome. I hope you show off. I really hope you show off the stuff when you get it. Like if you have an Instagram account or you're on Facebook, take some photos, show off the not a subscription box stuff that you get from us. No, we're not going to any other shows than the 3 that I already mentioned, Alex. Sorry. All right, guys. That's it. That's going to do it for me for tonight. I have another 20 minutes of shutting everything down here before I can head out. Please be safe. As always, I'll see you next month, if not sooner. Like I said, we're probably going to do another like random live stream as I test out another live streaming site. So stay tuned for more information if you like that type of content. It might actually be on a weekend. It might be broadcast both here and on Facebook. So there's a lot of stuff up in the air. It just depends on how I can get it going and get everything running. Until next time, everybody, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any further questions, shoot us an email, leave a comment below, or you can send us a message on Facebook or Instagram as well. Good night. Good luck. Cheers.